Self-Love Act number 86. Journal question. If you had only 15 minutes to gather your most prized possessions, and you could take no more than your car could carry in one trip, what would you bring with you? My reflection. In the fall of 1985, I believe it was, I found myself scrambling to answer this question when a forest fire threatened the Air Force Base on which I was stationed in northern Michigan. I was working in the personnel office when I heard about the fire approaching that section of the base where I lived in a 2-room apartment. I hurried out of the office, hopped in my car, and arrived home in about 7 minutes. A dark cloud of smoke rising from the trees behind my building was roiling overhead. When I entered my rooms, I grabbed a couple of empty boxes and a suitcase. As I moved through the apartment, I quickly assessed what I most wanted and was unwilling to surrender to the flames. I don't remember all that I took, but I do remember these items. The photo album I had compiled during my 4 years at Notre Dame, my yearbooks from Notre Dame, a couple of photo albums from my childhood, a handful of books that I loved, including The Giving Tree and The Prophet, gifts from dear friends, and the Bible I had received from my parents when I was 16. I also gathered love letters from my fiancée and my journals, several small wooden totem poles that I had collected during my adolescence, and my favorite music, on vinyl records and cassette tapes back then, although I did leave the stereo behind. I abandoned the TV as well. I took to my car the boxes of these items and a suitcase filled with clean clothes and toiletries, then returned to work. Not long after reaching the office, I left again to join my fellow officers and enlisted members on the fire lines, to dig trenches in hopes of stopping the advance of the forest fire. Fortunately, the flames died before causing damage to any buildings on the base, and no human life was lost. I have no idea what other animal and plant life perished, though. When I returned home and placed my belongings back on their respective shelves, I felt grateful, not only that my apartment had been spared, but also for the opportunity to identify what among my things was most precious to me. So, if a natural disaster was approaching your house, apartment, or room, and you had but 15 minutes to safely gather your most treasured possessions, what would you take? I wonder, in what ways does your heart want to be loved? How do you, or can you, use your heart to love yourself?